In this time of so much conflict, change, and uncertainty, so many of us are looking for faster ways to do things differently, not just with our mind, but with our other intelligences. Hi, my name's Edwina van der Westhuizen, and I'm based in Melbourne, Australia. And I'm a systemic constellations facilitator and trainer. And today I have a special guest with me, Gabriela Asmar, who joins us from Rio de Janeiro. And she's going to share with us a pioneer movement that's happening in the courts in Brazil. So welcome, Gabriela.
Hi, my name is Gabriela Asmar. I'm a lawyer, a mediator, a constellator, and an ombudsman. And I use constellation and mediation in everything I do.
How many states in Brazil now are using constellations in court proceedings that you know of?
The last information I have, which was from about a year ago, there was constellation in 19 Brazilian states, state courts. The first constellation in court, as far as I know, was in 2010. So it's been 11 years. But the last year doesn't count, so count 10.
I guess the biggest question that most people are going to ask is, what is systemic constellations?
We can understand systemic constellations in different ways. But what is useful, in my view, to decision-making process is to understand that everything you can do through your mental intelligence, you can do better when you add to it your other levels of perception and intelligence. So doing a constellation is looking at a map with clearer eyes, having more details that matter, because many times too much is equivalent to too little. So we have to have exactly what helps in the focus of where you need to go. So when you constellate, you get the product of constellation is a better map. And then after constellation, you will be able to walk through the territory with more precise steps, knowing where you're going, where you came from, and what it takes to go from A to B. Mm-hmm. It's like downloading from the cloud and feeling something that is pure energy, and it's just there, and it's physical, and it's scientifically explainable. For me, the reference for me is Rupert Sheldrake, who is a biologist, and he was just trying to explain how behavior passes through generations without any direct connection to matter.
So what areas in the legal arena would you say that constellations could be used?
So first option, to constellate prior to going to court.
Right.
To try to build peace so that you don't have to go to court. Mm-hmm. Preventive. Second, you're already in court and the judge invites people to try constellation if they are willing to, and after constellation, go to mediation. Mm-hmm. And that's where we have very good results recorded, because 100% of people who had their case constellated and then went to mediation closed the deal.
Right.
The third is when the judge is the client to a constellation to check how he feels that system, how he feels his decision-making process within that system of the parties. Another area where it's very interesting is when you have family business.
Oh, yes.
Conflict within family businesses. That was exactly where I decided to bring constellation into my mediation practice. When I was doing a mediation between brothers that were owners in a company that their father had founded, and they didn't agree in anything. And it was so obvious that if they didn't settle, they would go bankrupt. Right. And still we went from a very distant possibility to one step of the agreement, and they didn't close. And it was rational to close. Everything was very clear. And then I asked myself, what didn't I see? What didn't I help them see? And I remembered constellation, and that's when I started to search for a constellation training, and it made a huge difference.
Because I guess, like you said, it was rational to close, but emotionally there was something that was holding that last step back.
It was totally unconscious to them.
Yes.
So they couldn't, you cannot decide upon something that you don't even see. So at the mental level, it's very, very limited. Mm-hmm. As Carl Jung used to say, our consciousness is one cork floating on an ocean of the unconsciousness. So everything that guides us, it's so much more unconscious than we are conscious about. And when we constellate, we just bring just enough of the unconscious so that we can make a conscious decision.
Yeah.
It's so easy after we understand.
Yeah.
There is a fifth option too, which is, how do you say that? Archetypical.
Yeah. Yeah.
Constellation. Father figure, the child, and blah, blah, blah. In the Brazilian courts, as far as I know, they're only using it so far for family litigation.
So is that like custody? Is that what you mean? Custody of children?
Divorce, alimony, anything. Mm-hmm. So family related. Mm-hmm. But it can be used for any relationship. It can be used for neighbors relationship. It can be used for bankruptcy, when you have to connect all the creditors, which is very hard to match, because normally the ones that are more powerful don't want to give a place for the smaller ones to belong, and so on, until they discover that if they are not all included, there will be nothing for them as well. Mm-hmm. So everything can be constellated. Many times a party wants to constellate the decision to let go. So once I did a constellation that was very beautiful, and this woman had been fighting with her own brothers and sisters for a number of years, and the legal proceeding was still ongoing, and there was this point that she reached, that she was looking at all of that and saying, it's not worth it. Mm-hmm. Can I let it go? Is it okay to let it go, or this would be a dishonor to my parents? Because of course she believed that she was carrying the burden to represent the will of her parents, and the others of course were not.
Right.
So this is all, so every case is so unique.
Yeah.
And there's always room for a better perception of the self and the others. Now, many times mediation is enough. Mm-hmm. But when you constellate, the probability of having a mediated agreement is much, much higher. Mm-hmm. There's another kind of case that would be very interesting.
Okay.
If you know, in any profession it may happen, but in law, it's more likely a little bit. When you have that client that brings you a case, and you just feel in your stomach that you should or you should not go into it, or you have that will to do something, but you shouldn't, and you're in that dilemma. Mm-hmm. So you as it's like the situation of the judge in the system. So you as an intervener in somebody else's system, mm-hmm. What do you need to see? What is connected to you that bothers you so much, or that excites you so much, in something that it doesn't make sense? Mm-hmm. So mm-hmm. So in order to help you decide if you're taking the case or not, we can consulate. That is
I
another
guess
idea.
that would be huge in the sense that if you have a personal something that, let's say, happened to you in your childhood, and now you've got someone who's coming to you with a case that's almost touching on the same stuff, and you haven't necessarily resolved that within yourself, within your family, within your system, and now this person is coming as a client, how partial, I guess, can you be when it's really touching on something that feels quite personal?
Yeah, and many times you're not aware of what is bothering you because it's unconscious.
But you
You
feel.
just have the feeling that, well, something is not right, but you cannot grasp it mentally. And we can, once we are in connection to someone, and we are not blinded by our judgments, I think that's the key.
Blinded
When
by
we go with
the mind and the judgments in the mind.
exactly. Uh, there's a sentence from Albert Einstein that I love, and I use for many things in life. He used to say, uh, "What what bothers me, what blocks me, is everything that I know." The more we know, the less we ask questions, and the less we ask questions, the less we learn. And the same thing happens when we connect to our perception. We have so many antennas, we have so many ways of perceiving reality, and our mind is so selfish, so self-sufficient, that it normally puts us apart from everything else that is available for us to perceive.